Everyone, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Hannah Rudd. I'm the Marine Policy and Research Manager at the Angling Trust, and it's lovely to be here today. I'm going to be talking about something other than science. I'm going to be talking about people and how important relationships are and how crucial that is to a successful research project or policy development, whatever your kind of strategic goal is. At the end of it, people and relationships are really crucial to that. And it's interesting that I'm here to talk about bass because bass was actually the first fish I caught at about 10 years old off of Bradwell on the Blackwater estuary. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a full circle moment. So very quickly, for those of you that aren't aware about recreational sea angling in the UK, although hopefully lots of you are and many of you are anglers yourselves, work led by Kieran and the team at CFAS through the Sea Angling Diary Project estimates that there's around 800,000 people in the UK that are recreational sea anglers. That's about 1.6% of the UK population, adult population, and that sea angling is estimated to have a total economic impact of between 1.5 and 2 billion pounds. So it's quite a considerable contributor to the UK economy. And around 15,000 jobs across the UK are also dependent in some shape or form on recreational sea angling. So things like charter boats, the tackle trade, for example, guiding, all of these jobs, but also indirectly through things like hotel expenditures when people go on their fishing trips down to the coastline. And over 100 species are thought to be targeted in the UK by recreational sea anglers, bass being one of the most important for the community. So why do we need angler science collaborations? Why are they important? And anyone spending any time speaking to anglers will know that they have accumulated a huge wealth of knowledge that they often don't even appreciate that they have. And a lot of this is spent by decades often of spending time in their particular patch of coastline, catching lots of fish, noticing changes in distribution and abundance, what's coming in, what's changing, theories around differences in environmental variables. There's this huge amount of knowledge that they often don't realise that they have. And one of my favourite things to do when I'm on a charter boat is just to sit with the skipper and just let him talk for like 20, 30 minutes about whatever he's seen or the differences in the time that he's been fishing. And a lot of this you can also apply to the commercial industry as well with things that they've seen over their careers in the industry. So there's a huge amount of knowledge that is often overlooked and undervalued. And also I think working with the recreational angling community as well offers unique opportunities to gather that data, look at logbooks that they've been collecting for decades, collect samples, and I'll talk about some of those projects that we're working on later. But the other thing as well that's changed in the last 4 or so years is that recreational sea fishing is now a recognised stakeholder under the Fisheries Act, which is a piece of legislation that came in when we left the European Union. So for the first time, there's that government formal recognition of recreational sea angling as being a legitimate stakeholder in UK fisheries. So the sector now has a platform that it's not had previously, which provides a lot of kind of exciting opportunities as well to pave the way for future fisheries management. And with that comes a considerable number of knowledge gaps that only by working collaboratively with the community can we begin to plug those gaps and really get a better understanding of not only the environment but also the sector and its social and economic contribution. But why are there difficulties with working in angler science collaborations? And I think it would be great if everyone got along and we all came together and moved forward, but life isn't really like that. And I think when I first came into this job 4 years ago, the idea of working with scientists was very alien. There was a lot of distrust, there was a lot of frustrations around transparency. The community, certainly the individuals I was working with the community, felt that they were often overlooked, that they were undervalued, that people didn't really care about what they had to say. There were concerns around data access, there were concerns around gathering data and then that data being used as a stick to beat the community with when they'd helped to collect the data in the first place. There was concerns around lack of recognition of the role of angling within data collection that had happened in the past. And there was also communication issues around expectations and timelines and how things work So there's a lot of problems, and not all of those problems have been resolved, but we've certainly moved forward, I think, in the last 4 years in a really positive way by trying to build positive collaborations with anglers and scientists. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those now, and just some of the things that we've taken from those different projects that have been really positive. So hopefully you can use them in any collaborations that you're working with moving forward. So I'm involved with this project called Shark Hub UK, which is a collaboration between recreational angling organisations and also scientific organisations. And to be honest with you, if you looked at us, you wouldn't have thought we'd done much for the last 3 or 4 years, because we haven't had any research outputs to date, because we've spent 2 years just talking to each other and building trust. And I appreciate that that doesn't always, funding grants, for example, don't always allow for that. But that's really been one of the great things about this collaboration, and we've done it entirely voluntarily from all sides. So there's been a lot of time that's gone in to just make sure that everyone is comfortable working in the parameters that we're working within, who we will work with, who we won't work with, what are people's boundaries. And now we're finally moving forward with different tagging programs and surveys, but we're in a point where everyone feels comfortable. The other thing to say on that I think is really important is that every skipper that's contributed data to the Pat Smith database are all listed as authors on published papers. So there's that formal recognition that they have played a crucial role in data collection. I have 1 minute. And also all skippers can remove data from the database at any point that they don't feel comfortable, which I think is also really important. And there's that bottom-up approach as well. So the changes that we've implemented have really come from the community upwards, rather than us coming in and telling people how we think they should be acting. Just very quickly, we've also got this project called Catchwise. It's an on-the-ground nationwide survey of recreational sea angling. Some of the things that I think are positive from that is we've got regular communications with the community. We've got an advisory group that's made up of fisheries managers and scientists, but also angling organisations and representatives. So they can give us real-time feedback, and we don't want them to hold back. If they think something's terrible, tell us it's terrible, and we'll try and work on moving it forward in a positive way. And again, people can withdraw data if they wish. Pollock FISP, which I'm working with Kieran and Tom on and others, we've got a consortium of charter skippers that are paid for their time on the project, which I think is really important, because often we expect the angling community to do things for free, and we forget that they also have jobs and they have responsibilities. So that's really important, paying them and compensating for their time. So my last slide, just in the last 20 seconds or so, is if you are interested in working with the recreational sea angling community, I would say absolutely. The community has so much knowledge and is really interested in engaging these projects. But first and foremost, listen. Often they don't have the opportunity to speak to people, so they kind of throw the kitchen sink at it because they're so excited to share all their knowledge. So you might not think everything is related to what you're trying to get out of that relationship, but listening is so important, respect is really important, and transparency is also really key. But the biggest thing I would say is that trust takes time to build, but it can be lost in a second. And that's something that's really crucial to remember, I think, from both parties' perspective. And then kind of 2 practical things I would say is compensation for time and acknowledgement for the role in data collection really goes a long way. And data access agreements can also be really useful to sort out in the beginning when you get in a pickle at the end. So yeah, sorry, that was quite rapid fire with the timing, but hopefully you found that useful. And if you would like to contact me, please feel free to drop me an email. Thank you.